putting on the soft tyres from lap 10, so that's a different strategy compared to what Sir LGB just did. It'll be interesting to see where he comes out, because these two were close on track, but Sir LG might be able to make the jump on him. As we're about to find out, Sir LGB is coming across the line now, but he's not made the jump, unfortunately for him, as Styling remains in provisional third, and now sitting in 10th position on the soft compounded tyre, so he'll definitely be a lot quicker than Sir LGB at this stage. And who knows, Sir LGB might be able to get it back later. Interesting. We still have our two leaders and Entei sitting on that old set of super soft tyres, as well as Dubsy, who's now sitting in P7.
Okay, I'll just take a moment to the viewers. Just apologies for that. Seems like what happened there was the host migration has kicked me out of the session, and unfortunately we've missed a few laps here. So yeah, thanks for sticking with us through that. As Whimpernator now all over the back of Stingray, as these guys making their way through the field. So yeah, I can confirm that Stingray did not spin out, as was shown at the end of the last stream. He's currently sitting there in P4. Expecting to see the leaders in soon. Pure Gold and Contrast, will they pull it into the pits now? Lap 10 would be the standard sort of lap to pit onto the softs, and here we go. Both drivers are in to the pits. Let's look for Entei as well in P3. He's starting to hold up these guys on the mediums a little bit as his tires are struggling. No, Entei continues for another lap, so he's going for better tires towards the second half of the race, as Stingray is quite close to him, but he's not close enough to get any sort of move done. And I think what may have happened during the disconnection is that we may well have lost the slipstream. So it's possible that we don't have the well, we wouldn't have the dirty air either, but the slipstream may be gone, and overtaking might get that much more difficult for the drivers. But hold on a moment, Stylen is right up behind Pure Gold, and he has jumped Contrast. So Stylen up there to P2, and they're getting really held up behind Crema here. There's contact between Crema and Pure Gold. They've come together. Oh, another car's been hit as well. Pure Gold is out of the race. I believe that was Contrast that's made contact with him. Contrast really just sort of a passenger there, as Pure Gold has come flying back across the track, and he has lost a significant amount of his front wing. So Contrast, very, very unlucky there. I didn't quite catch really what happened between the two drivers in detail, but Crema has got significant damage as he's now running off of the circuit, really struggling with the lack of grip there. He gets a 10-second time penalty for that. I'm sure that'll get removed, but yeah, so this is now blowing wide open. Stylen, the big winner out of what happened there. He's up into the net lead of the race. There's a big battle going on for the current lead of the race between the two medium drivers and Entei, who's still on the super softs. He has to pit, surely he does. So Entei will come into the pits and put on the softs to run towards the end of the race. And it's Prying Stingray and Whimpernator leading the way, as he gives it a little sort of weave there. So and maybe just finding some clean air and you know, trying to cool his engine a little bit. But yeah, those two guys are up and leading this, and they'll run long and then look for either a set of softs or super softs to take into the second part of the race after their pit stop. But it is in the lead now. We have Stylen, and then provisional second place will be LGB after the pit stops. He's very close to Spiley after the end of this first sector, as the Sauber driver's made a bit of a mistake. LJB, oh, he just gets squeezed there slightly. Might have been a bit of a connection problem for LJB, but yeah, he really just got kind of scared off of his line there by Spilly. He had to take evasive action onto the grass. That's lost him a significant amount of time, and you know, for these guys like LGB and Stewart as well, they've got to be worried about you know, Whimpernator and Stingray coming back at them towards the end of the race, so they can't afford to lose this time behind the drivers that are yet to pit.
On board with Whimpernator now, getting very close to the lead of the race to Prying Stingray. Is he going to throw out the inside of the hairpin? The chicane he is. Oh, he's backed out of it at the last possible moment. And Prying Stingray is struggling on field, so this might be a chance for Whimpernator to get past. Does not get a good exit out of the last chicane, and that will be Prying Stingray in the lead for another lap, or another sector at least, because I really can't see Whimpernator overtaking in the S's. as Wimpinator does have a better turn one. Let's see if he can get close to the S's, because obviously the slipstream is gone, but that also means that the dirty air is gone. As we see Wimpinator getting closer and closer to Flying Stingray in the S's, but not being able to close the gap enough to go for a move. As we now go on to Sector 2, you do see these guys struggling for grip. They've obviously been on these tyres for 13 laps so far, and despite it being mediums, they're going to struggle for a lot of grip, especially in that first sector. But they're still holding out quite well, as Styling is only 5 seconds behind them though. There is another yellow flag in Sector 1, I want to know what that is for. I see a Renault, oh no, hold on, no, the contrast is in 12, so that can't be a Renault. I don't know what it is then. It might be pure gold.
Maybe Headshot Gaming having some problems. He's currently down there. 15 seems to have lost a lot of time in this last segment, so that may be what it is. As he's in as a reserve, kind of last minute a little bit, taking over Maznat's car. But yeah, these two up front are getting very close. Once again, Wimpinator looks like he has some phenomenal straight line speed, so perhaps despite the slipstream issues, he is making the move on Stingray, but he's not able to get anything done into the final chicane. He's looking for the exit here though. Look at how he set that up. Oh, he struggles on traction a bit, and that will compromise his run all the way down this straight. So if he tries that again on the next lap, he just needs to make sure he's slightly more cautious on that traction. It's always difficult when you're following another car to get the power down, but yeah, Wimpinator with brilliant straight line speed, and you have to say looking like a little bit like the quicker of the two drivers right now.
Yeah, it definitely looks to be the quicker driver out of the two now. I thought Flying Stingray was a little bit quicker at the start of this stint, and then maybe Wimpinator has just been able to save his tyres that little bit more, and is now in a better position to attack Flying Stingray. But when do you think we'll see these guys pit? Because obviously they've got the choice between the softs and the super softs.
If they're going softs, I'd expect it maybe next lap. But to be honest, I think if you're starting the race on the mediums, you're looking to go for the super softs at the end. As Wimpinator, he shows the nose there, but kind of half-hearted. He's not going to get the move done like that. But yeah, I would expect to see these guys maybe run until lap 16, 17, and then go for a set of super softs and really try and get some moves done towards the end of the race. As Wimpinator is all over the back of Stingray. Stingray looks like he's really struggling through Spoon there, and Wimpinator now, he's closer than ever, just a 10th behind. He's already kind of lining up a move here around the outside of 130R for the lead of the race. Wimpinator, he goes for it all the way around the outside. They bang wheels again as Wimpinator has the inside line down into the final chicane. They're side by side going through there. Stingray's not going to give it up. Oh, he gives Wimpinator a bit of a shove, and Wimpinator's not going to get the position. I don't think he'll be very happy with that, as Stingray just kind of ran him wide there. You can see him weaving. He's not happy at all. So yeah, he's starting to get a bit frustrated. It's getting very tense up at the front, but this pair have got to worry about Styling behind him, who's reduced this gap from 4 seconds to 1.3 in just a couple laps. So Styling, he's absolutely flying. He's 10 seconds ahead of his next competitor, really, on the same strategy as him, and he's just really just going to bring this race home for what would be his second AOR victory. It's been a great drive from him, and though you have to say, with what happened with Pure Gold and Crema in that first sector, maybe a little bit of fortune for it, but that's sometimes just how the cards fall. He's had a great drive so far. LJB is jammed behind Spilly now, too, who is on the medium compound tire as well, but Spilly's had those on since the start of the race, so yeah, they're getting a bit worn now. LJB, he's only had these on for 6 laps, and they'll be in pretty good condition. He's got to find a way past, and it's so hard to overtake at the current conditions.
Yeah, so we do have the, well, out of the top 4, there's 3 guys on the medium that still have yet to fit. As Wimpinator is getting back close to Flying Stingray. Obviously not happy with that move earlier by Flying Stingray, just shoving him onto the gravel and just sort of taking off and not giving him the position or let him even get close. But Wimpinator thinks the better of it this time, and is going to try and line him up for turn 1, but he's again had a bit of a poor exit as Flying Stingray pit. Oh, he's made a very late call there, Wimpinator to pit.
He's nearly run into the pit wall there, Wimpinator, but he does make it into the pit lane without issue. So our race leader's pit, and that promotes Styling up into the on-track lead.
Wimpinator's gone for super softs, and the Flying Stingray's gone for softs. So a different strategy for these two. And Wimpinator being on the super soft, but also being the car behind. He'll be flying, but it'll be a question of, can he get past Flying Stingray soon enough? Because he needs to get past soon. because his tyres will get worse towards the end of the race.
Yeah, well, these guys have put in a fantastic stint, though, as Stingray comes out in 5th. Whimpernator, however, he was just a couple seconds behind Stingray, but that's cost him 2 positions as he slots in behind Entei and Dubsy. But look at this. Stingray is already making the move on Stewart around the outside in the first sector, and he gets run wide. So, yeah, not much space being left for the drivers here in Suzuka. People getting their elbows really far out at the moment, as Stingray is going to have another go at Stewart at some point. But he's got Entei and Dubsy, who has managed to rejoin the session, battling behind him as Dubsy goes up the inside. Oh, they're battling in front as well as Stingray gets the move done, and Dubsy, he's just about ahead of Entei, but they are side by side coming around through 200R. This is completely flat out, of course, as Dubsy's going to have the inside line for Spoon, and he should be a little later on the brakes, and he does get it done. So Dubsy up into 6th position, and Entei will have to worry about Whimpernator on those brand new super softs behind him, and we know Whimpernator's got some very good straight line speed. Is LJB able to make his way past the Sauber? Not yet. Spilly really holding on to this position. Oh, he pits, so LJB is promoted up into 2nd place. Interesting to see where Spilly comes out of the pits, as Whimpernator had a look at Entei, kind of dummies him there, looks for the exit. He's got a beautiful run around the outside, and here goes Whimpernator. We know about his straight line speed. He's flying along the straight, but Entei, he's kind of just twitching back and forth a wee bit. I thought there was maybe some slight contact there, but it looks like Entei has backed out. Whimpernator grabs P5, and you have to say a podium is not out of the question yet for him, as he's got Dubsy in front of him. And, you know, for Dubsy, yeah, he really can't afford to lose any of these points. I'm assuming he will battle this very, very hard.
Yeah, so Dubsy, well, trying to get back into the race, and he's doing quite well so far. As I think everyone is pitted in front of him, so he is in the net P4 with Prime Stingray, Sir LGB and Styling. He's now 12 seconds ahead, looking, well, he's got one hand on the trophy already for this race, and just needs to finish it off and hope his tyres make it to the end. Because he did pit in lap 10, remember, so his soft tyres have got a long way to go. So here's to him, hoping that these tyres will last at the end, and if they don't, we've got some drama at the end. But I'm not going to commentate or curse him, as we have Sir LGB sitting in 2nd place. The gaps are quite big at the front now, with the closest gap being Prime Stingray and Dubsy being only 1.5 seconds apart. But Prime Stingray pitted a lot later for these tyres, I believe, so should be the quicker out of the two. But we do know Dubsy is very quick. He's well, maybe the quickest guy in the entire league. Especially with Mathnat not being here, so it'll be interesting to see what...
Gonna have to cut you off here, because Dubsy's got to worry about the quickest person on track at the moment, as Whimpernator sets the fastest lap of the race, a 31.3, as he's on the super soft tyres, absolutely flies around the outside. Oh, he runs too wide, though. He's just overcooked to the rear end, kicked out, and Whimpernator not able to grab that position, not able to complete the move, so he's got to catch back up and have another go. But, yeah, I mean, Prime Stingray, you know, obviously he pitted with Whimpernator on lap 15, so for him, he's got much fresher tyres than LJB in front of him, and softer tyres, so that 6.5 second gap, it's a big gap, but I think he's still got some time to start bringing that down, and LJB will have one eye on his rear view mirror. Yeah, straight away Whimpernator back within that DRS range of Dubsy. He's absolutely flying on those tyres, as Spilly's had an incident at Dunlop, and he's lost part of his front wing. He's just straight off the track there as well, really struggling with the grass on his tyres, I think. But he was looking in a great position to come through and grab some strong points, and unfortunately for him, yeah, that's looking very unlikely now. He's probably going to have to pit and get this wing fixed, and will drop a very long way back. So, yeah, his first race as a full-time driver in the Sauber, not quite going to plan.
Unfortunately there for Spilly, as we have Whimpernator catching up to the back of Dubsy. He's very, very quick in this race, Whimpernator, on these super soft tyres. Is he going to go for another move here then, as we go onto the straight then, and he is going to catch Slipstream if it is there, and he's got the RS, and he's catching up to the back of Dubsy very, very quick, but it does not seem to be catching up enough to go for a move, as we now definitely lost Slipstream with T-Road leaving the session. But that will be helpful for Whimpernator in this first section, as he will be able to stick closer to the back of Dubsy, and he is doing so on his super soft tyres, trying to get a good lineup, maybe to go for a move in the hairpin in sector 2. We do have 2 cars pitting, one of them's Nibble, the other one's Spilly, obviously after that incident. And Wimpinator looking to be a bit cautious in that first sector, not wanting to make any mistakes as he just done in turn 1. And obviously editing the gap out a little bit more. Wimpinator trying to be a little bit careful, but maybe just a little bit too careful.
He made a bit of a mistake through the second Degner. We were on board for that. He just missed the apex. That cost him quite a lot of time. That's a corner you have to hook up if you want to get any you know, sort of strong lap times in this track, and he just ran too wide there. So yeah, for Wimpinator, I mean, if he doesn't have the slipstream, I mean, we've seen he's got great straight line speed, and he will have the DRS still down that main straight, but he might look for somewhere else possibly to get the move done. I mean, maybe into that hairpin in the second sector is a possible overtaking spot, but look at the straight line speed from Wimpinator. He's going to show the nose. Not quite close enough. He's now going to look for the exit. Here we go. This is what he set up on Entei. He's got a brilliant run out of the final corner, and they are going to be battling along the pit straight. Dubsy will defend the inside as Wimpinator is going to try and hold it all the way around the outside, and can he do it this time into turn 1? There we go, he just holds it, and Wimpinator, he gets the car slowed down this time, so he is up into P4. He's got 2.5 seconds in front of him, up to Prying Stingray, who is on the soft compound tyres, but Wimpinator may have taken the best of these super soft tyres out of them after getting past a couple cars there, but you got to say, yet another race where Wimpinator has come from outside the top 10 and looking at a top 4 finish and possibly even a podium.
So well, Wimpinator's definitely done well, and it'll be interesting to see if he can catch up to Prying Stingray, and especially if, like, towards the end of the stint, he can stay ahead of him if he passes him with these super softs. Because 12 laps on a super soft, I'm gonna have to admit that is a pretty long way to go. But obviously these are fresh super softs, so you might actually be able to edge the 12 laps out of the tyres. And we don't really have any other close battles on track. Yes, we do. We got Eye Contrast, Stuart McKenzie and Torties all in the battle for P8, and so unlucky for Eye Contrast sitting in second, and then just being caught up in that incident, and then dropping that back to P9. But he is looking good now. Stuart McKenzie behind him though on the fresher super soft tyres, himself on a soft, and Torties on, I think, a set of more warm mediums. So we'll have a lot of cars being quicker than the car in front, but it'll be interesting to see how they're going to pass each other.
Yeah, we will keep our eye on that battle up at the front as well, because Stingray is closing the gap to LJB, so those soft tires working well for him, and I think those guys are going to sort of concertina together. But Stuart McKenzie is the quickest person on track at the moment. He set an absolutely rapid lap time on the last lap of 30.7, I believe it was, and he's on the back of Contrast now, and got to be looking to get this move done and make the most out of these super soft tires. You can see how much more grip he has, but it's so difficult to find a way through at turn 1, and you know, for him, he might not have the straight line speed that Wimpinator does. Wimpinator with some very low wings, so yeah, for Stuart, he might be looking to stick as close as he possibly can to Contrast, and then maybe get a move done into that hairpin in the second sector, as these guys are very close to each other. And to get slowed down, find that apex of the second Degner. He's done a pretty good job, but Contrast had a great exit, and Contrast can be very close to Tortoise. And if you're the third car in a train here, okay, Stuart might have the best tires, but he's got to be careful that if he is going to dive it up the inside somewhere, that he doesn't run into Tortoise, because you know, they're all so close together. It's very possible that could happen. He's looking at the inside of Spoon, thinks better of it. Contrast holds on for now, but you can see he's got so much more grip.
Yeah, trying to get him out of shape, just showing the nose at the start of the corner, and then pure icon just having to give room, and then being out of shape for the next turn. I think that's what Stuart McKenzie's just tried it. If he's smart, he's going to try it in the chicane again, as it just worked a 3 for Wimpinator on Dubsy. Will he try it? He will not try it, and he'll just trust on his own exit and his own straight line speed. And Stuart McKenzie does get a good exit, but obviously Pure Eye Contrast will have DRS from the car in front. So it'll be very hard for Stuart McKenzie to make that pass purely on DRS. He's actually not even getting close to him, Stuart McKenzie. And that might be due to the slipstream being gone because of the glitch. And well, he's just going to have to settle in behind him again. And he's going to have to try and catch up. I think he's going to have to try it somewhere else apart from that straight. Because his grip is phenomenal at the minute from Stuart McKenzie. He might be able to try it in the F, or he might be able to try it in the Deckners right now. Is he going to stick his nose up the inside? Probably not.
Yeah, this is the point where you're following another car and you've really got to be studying what they're doing and where possibly they're weak in the track. But Stewart's very close to Contrast now. Surely he'll throw it up the inside of the hairpin. No, he's not quite. Contrast is very late on the brakes, and you know, he seems to be getting a brilliant exit out of the second Degner, and that's protecting him into that hairpin. So yeah, that might not be too much of an opportunity for Stewart. He may have to look for it somewhere else. You know, or really what you've got to do is compromise the entry of one corner and try and get a phenomenal exit out of it. When you have a big tire advantage, that's something you can kind of afford to do if you're clearly quicker than the car in front. So you know, he's going to be looking for a corner that he can maybe do that at. I mean, Spoon would be a possibility, or you know, perhaps this final chicane as well, if he's able to get Contrast out of shape into it. You know, maybe just show the nose into the first apex, and then you know, perhaps force Contrast to go defensive and then hook up the exit out of it. But it's so difficult with Contrast getting that DRS from Tortoise in front that, you know, for Stewart, he's yeah, he's going to have to go for a dive somewhere, I think, if he wants to make it past, and that always comes with the risks.
Yeah, so I'm still on board with Stuart McKenzie, as we do keep an eye on the battle in front, as Prime Stingray is now 4 seconds behind Sir LGB. And the Wimpernay also catching back up to Prime Stingray, with the gap only being, well, I think a little bit under 2 seconds. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. Dubsy still sitting in 5th, but we are still on board with Stuart McKenzie. Actually had to slam the brakes on into the first Deckners to not hit the back of Pure Eye Contrast. Is he going to try and throw it off the hairpin here? He's going to have to try it somewhere if he wants to make this work. There's a potential P8 of the cards for Stuart McKenzie.
Yeah, Contrast ready for it though. He just defended the inside there, put his car in the middle of the track, and you know, that's him telling Stewart he knows what he's thinking. So Stewart, he's got to find something here, and you know, maybe Spoon as a corner, you could use that extra grip to get a great exit. But again, there's just, look at this, there's no toe at all along this back straight, and this would normally be, you know, the area where you'd perhaps pull off and overtake into this final chicane. He is closer.
There's no toe at all, but he is close. He's going to go for the outside move on the hairpin. He might be able to get out of shape, but it looks like he's got himself out of shape, unfortunately, and he nearly loses the car. He's gone into the grass, he's lost the car.
Oh, Stuart McKenzie, just pushing too hard there, trying to get on the power, and ends up throwing it away. He is still in P10. He didn't break his front wing, but I think at this point, yeah, look at him weaving the wheel. Really frustrated with that and with himself, but at least I don't think he'll lose any positions. He may just have to settle for the singular point, but yeah, this, you know, he will be furious really with himself after that. You know, a pretty careless error. The Contrast as well, you know, that pressure taken off him behind can now allow him to focus on perhaps getting a move and up into 8th place past the McLaren driver here, as he's you know, well within his DRS, and you know, once that car behind goes away, you can then start to focus on the car in front and looking at their lines and where they're strong on the track and where they're weak, and then try and plan a move and execute it based off of that.
Just having a look up front, I think Frank Stingray's had to save so much fuel that he's actually not caught up to the back of Sir LJB. Unfortunately, the gap is now a little bit less than 3 seconds. I think it's a little bit over 2 seconds at the minute. So who knows, he might be able to catch him, but that is if Sir LJB makes a big mistake, which I really can't see him doing. Wimpernay and not really catching up to the back of Frank Stingray. The gap is still 2 seconds, a little bit over 2 seconds now actually. So these super soft tires probably had their best time in these last 3 laps, and Wimpernay is probably going to have to settle for 4th, but he's going to have to watch out. If his tyres go off too much, Dubsy is only 1.5 seconds behind him.
Yeah, I think Wimpinator probably just cooked his tires trying to make some passes there, and we saw he had a big slide into turn 1, and you know, whenever you do that, that's going to you really damage your tires in a sort of lasting manner, not just in terms of the wear, but also, you know, putting that much temperature through them. And yeah, he is starting to fall away a little bit from Prying Stingray now, who went for definitely the more conservative option on the softs, and that's paid dividends for him. Wimpinator wasn't quite able to make his way through the field quick enough, and you know, that gave Prying Stingray a big enough gap to hold on. And now in these final laps, he will definitely have the better tires, and he's getting closer to LGB, but is he going to make it within that DRS by the final couple of laps? We'll see. It's going to be tight. Still got contrast.
Right, go on.
Yeah, still got contrast within 3-4 tenths of Tortoise, but he's struggling to get close enough to make a move. As oh wow, Stewart and Crema are battling. Stewart must have made another mistake somewhere, as Crema's on his outside going down towards Spoon, and not quite able to get that move done yet. I think Crema's on much well, no, actually they both have very fresh tires, but Stewart with that that error that he made may have damaged his, spinning off into the gravel, and Crema's right on the back of him, coming up to 130R, and will he be able to get this move done? I mean, this is for the final points position, so, I mean, you're sitting here in P11, you can just throw it up the inside if you want to, you got nothing to lose, really. So Crema, he's just cut that final chicane quite a lot there. He'll probably get a warning for that. Got to be careful. I haven't seen too many penalties coming out for the drivers as of yet, but that's something we've got to keep an eye on coming into the final laps. But yeah, Crema now putting a lot of pressure onto Stewart, and Crema, he's not scored too many points this season, so for him every single point counts in a big way, and he'll really want this 10th place.
I do see that the gap between Sir LGB and Prime Stingray is now coming down. It's only 1.5 seconds, so as Sir LGB pitted for his medium tyres too early and his Prime Stingray, will he be able to catch up? Because obviously Prime Stingray is on a very fresh set of soft tyres, pitting in lap 15, so Strange Prime Stingray definitely in favour of the tyres here.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think LGB, he should comfortably make it to the end, but it was really just the pace that Stingray and Wimpinator had on those medium tires in that first stint. Is, I mean, they came out of the pits. Stingray was out of the pits in 5th place, which, if you're running 15, 16 laps into the race on the slowest tire, you wouldn't normally expect to come out in the top 5. You generally have a lot more work to do, and because of that, he's ended up probably much closer to LGB than LGB thought, and LGB is not quite hooking up these medium tires, and he's fallen quite a long way back from Stylen, who is absolutely flying out front. 17 seconds has been a dominant display really in the second half of the race from Stylen after the misfortune for Pure Gold and Contrast. He's made the most of that, and the nerves not really getting to him, as we will hop up to Stylen now. Whereabouts is he on track? He's at Spoon. It is the final lap of the race, and this will be his second win of the season. He came in late in the season, only joined us for Baku, missed the first couple of rounds, but picked up a win in Britain, and it's going to be win number 2 here for the Mercedes driver in Suzuka, and yeah, really, taking that opportunity with both hands and holding on tight. He comes around to the final corner to cross the line. So it is the second win of the season for Stylen. See him wiggling the Mercedes there. He's very happy with that. A great drive from him, but we're going to have to go to LGB and Stingray, because Stingray is pretty close to him down into the final chicane. We'll see if he's able to get anything done here. Oh, he's almost pushing him through there, but LGB should hold on with the traction. There we go. So he will cross the line in second. Stingray will take third. Wimpinator comes across to grab 4th place. Great drive from both Wimpinator and Stingray. Dubsy in 5th after a disconnection and a really rough opening section of the race. He does grab himself 10 points and will stay in the championship, but he has to win both races and have Maznat not score any points in them if he wants any hope of reclaiming defending his title. Contrast coming home in 9th. Man, what could have been today? He was looking great for definitely a podium. He was up there battling for the win at that early point, but he'll be very frustrated with this result. Stuart McKenzie as well. He's had multiple incidents, had a big spin, and he lost his front wing early on. He comes home and grabs a point. Considering what he's been through today, that's not the worst thing in the world. He's grabbed something. Crema not quite able to grab his 3rd, 10th place in a row. He finishes actually in 12th. He had quite a number of penalties, and Niplo nabs at 11th place from him by 0.8 of a second. Spilly, well, yeah, I mean, he was looking pretty strong earlier in the race, but had a crash and broke his wing, and from then on just wasn't able to keep up with the damage. He finishes in 13th place.
Yeah, so a race with a lot of broken hearts and a lot of happy drivers who profited from it. Obviously, Pure Gold losing his net lead and losing any chance of any points in that first sector when he retired his car, unfortunately, hitting the back of Crema. And then I think Pure Icon Contrast caught him on the way and then made sure that car was done and dusted. Unfortunately for these two, but a very good race by our race winner.
Oh, so
Definitely.
we've actually had confirmation from Spilly that apparently he stepped on his cord, so the cord for the controller there, and he's dropped his controller, and that's when he's crashed. So I don't think I've ever heard of that before, but that explains the incident that he had, and man, he's got to be kicking himself with that because he was looking for some great points today. So it wasn't a crash with another driver. I mean, we did have, as you said, a lot of broken hearts here today, a lot of broken wings as well. There were a number of incidents with drivers there. I think that the stewards might be quite busy after this race, but somebody who certainly will not have a broken heart after that is Stylen. What a brilliant drive from him. He took the opportunity and ran with it, really pulled away in the second half of the race, showed some fantastic pace, and he will win the Japanese Grand Prix. LJB in second, great result for him. He gains a lot of points in the championship on contrast, so that will make his third place in the championship look much safer. And we had the two guys coming on through from the back of the field. Stingray, who I've got to say is probably my driver of the day, from 20th to 3rd. What a result for him. Wimpernitter as well, great drive up to 4th from 13th. Dubsy salvages 5th from what was looking like a pretty desperate race at times. Entei in 6th, a pretty quiet but solid race. Then we had Tomato in 7th, Tortoise 8th. Contrast, obviously, possibly could have been up there on that podium. He finishes in 9th, Stewart in 10th with the final point. And then our final finishers were Niblo, Crema, Spilly, and Azatak. Spilly and Azatak finishing one lap down. Of course, we lost a number of drivers through the race. Headshot, Pure Gold, Marstman, and then we had a couple others who unfortunately are showing up as AI drivers at the moment, be a number of DNFs, and you've got to say this, well, a large number of the drivers really struggling with this track. There were quite a lot of mistakes out there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the race director. I see a lot of people getting warnings, but actually not getting penalties. So I don't know if Dubsy's actually messed up the lobby horse settings and put it to corner cutting only. Because I do know if you do that, then you can get a lot of warnings without getting an actual penalty. So that will be something to
Well,
look at.
we did see at least one penalty with was it Crema running across the hairpin and getting a 10-second? I think possibly what might have happened is, the drivers may have had one or two warnings before the host migration, and then maybe
Yeah,
they've
but
got a couple more
the host actually didn't
mornings.
migrate. The host actually didn't migrate. That was just you disconnected. So.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure what's going on then. Very, very strange, because normally if you just disconnect, it just pauses. So I'm not sure what's happened on my end then. So yeah, okay. I didn't realize that the host hadn't actually migrated, so I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, I mean, you can't see that the corner cutting is on. So yeah, maybe something odd happening there with the lobby. But yeah, I mean, that was a very good race. Lots of pretty rough battling out there. I mean, the drivers really getting their elbows out, and might be some words said in some PMs or some stewards inquiries after the race. But it's always entertaining to watch the drivers fighting tooth and nail for every inch on track, and we certainly had that today.
Yeah, it was a good race to watch, and the championship is still up for grabs, but it looks like a formality for Mazda really to pick it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, so talking of the championship, Dubsy's 5th place today he will be 48 points behind Maznat. So realistically, he needs to win both. Well, he has to win both races, and Maznat can only score. Mazda can only score 2 points in the final 2 rounds, which is, you got to say, unlikely. We don't know what happened to Maznat today. Nobody has heard from him, so yeah, hopefully we'll have him on the grid in the final 2 rounds, and those two can battle it out on track. It's always unfortunate when somebody misses a race, but yeah, just keep that championship going a little bit longer. But Dubsy, he's got to be, kind of, mostly ruined qualifying. I think today he had an opportunity to grab a large number of points and make that gap a little bit smaller, but in the end he's only just held on and made it last for the next 2 rounds. So I think he'll be somewhat disappointed with that.
Yeah, it's unlucky for him, but yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes, and well, he's still got a chance for the championship, but he's gonna have to get some decent, well, he's gonna have to win both races, and then hoping Mazda picks up incidents in both of them. Yeah, but it really does not look likely to happen. But obviously there is next season on 2018, and obviously you can try it all again. Because I do hope to see everyone back for the 2018 season, which will be as soon as the game comes out, I think around August, September, and I'll be looking forward to that.
Yeah, definitely will be good, and obviously after that comes out, stay posted on the forums for any information regarding season 16. There's no definite dates confirmed for that yet, but that will be confirmed probably within the next sort of month or two. So yeah, that will bring it to the end of the broadcast today. I'd like to thank Dom for joining us in the commentary box. Always a pleasure to have you alongside me here. And if you guys are watching this and wanting to check out some more racing on AOR, you can head across and check out the Xbox race. Great racing there all the time. And then also we'll have the European Leagues tonight at 8 p.m. UK time. Again, that's the top splits from PC, PS4, and Xbox, as well as a couple of F2s and F3s as well. You can watch myself and Dom tackle the Suzuka circuit. Hopefully we don't have any incidents like a number of the drivers today, but who knows, anything can happen at this track. Personally, I'm hoping for some rain tonight, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, thanks Dom for joining us. Is there anything you'd like to say before we wrap things up?
Well, no, nothing really apart from just saying that. Likewise, I always enjoy having you in the commentary box, and I'll be looking forward to the next race.
Alright guys, well thanks for joining us, and we'll be here next week for round 14 at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Brilliant track there, another pretty tough one for the drivers, you have to say. It's a pretty technically demanding circuit, and I'm sure these guys will give us a brilliant show once again there next week at the same time, so that's 11 a.m. UK time on the Sunday. And thanks for joining us, and I hope you all have a great Sunday.